The hardest thing about being a brand new guitarist, like the moment you decide that you want to play a guitar, the hardest thing you can do is find a guitar. Hey everybody, welcome back to Red Mug Music. I'm Brian, and like I said, I am looking for a guitar. Now let me back up just a little bit. I have been playing a guitar for a long time. Actually, let me clarify. I started playing guitar at a very young age. My dad bought me a Cort, which I'm going to try to find a picture and maybe put it up on the screen here. It was red. It was a knockoff of a Fender a Strat. It looked just like a Fender Strat. And I remember he got that for me, and it was a Gorilla amp, and it was awesome. And then I acquired an acoustic guitar. I think it belonged to my uncle years and years ago, and I'll show that to you in a few minutes. And so now I had this Cort electric guitar and this Yamaha acoustic guitar, and I started taking lessons in the hills of Virginia, actually right past a place called Big A Mountain. And I remember learning my chords, and I've always been fairly musically inclined, so it was kind of easy for me. And I stopped taking lessons, and I think I was 9, 10, I'm not sure. And I started just playing music by ear. I remember listening to bands like Kiss, and I don't even remember who else, basically Kiss. I remember one of the first songs I learned on my own by ear was Cold Gin by Kiss, and just a few others. And then by the time, but I never really got good. I never really learned the fundamentals of how to play the guitar, so I just never really got good. Now later on, I continued learning songs by ear. The 90s came around. I was still playing guitar. Grunge hit. I ended up with a Gibson Les Paul Studio edition. It was white with gold trim. I'll put a picture of that up. This is not my guitar. This is just a guitar that looks just like it. And I really started playing music a lot more. And at this point, I was playing a lot of Smashing Pumpkins and Pearl Jam and just whatever, just whatever I could learn by ear. But still, anything solo, I was not able to do whatsoever because I just had not learned the fundamentals of guitar. I mean, there was a few notes, a few chords I could play like E and A and G and D. But switching in between the chords was kind of tasking for me because I never really learned how to do it. Every time I would sit down, I would just listen to music and learn it. That's just what I did. Anyway, after the year 2000, I pretty much just put my guitar away. I had acquired like an Ibanez, and I don't even know what kind. Maybe I'll find a picture that I think maybe it was like, and I'll put that up. But, and I had a PV amp, a pretty nice PV amp, but I ended up just selling the guitar. I sold the amp, and all the other guitars I had, I just sent to my dad, and they've been at his house ever since. Now, with this channel, my Red Mug Music channel, I have decided, I've just been listening to a lot of music, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm getting that itch to want to play again. So I went out and I ended up buying actually, let me back up a little bit. A few years ago, my wife's mother bought me this. She bought me this guitar. If you can see it, it's a Fender Squier Strat. It's basically a beginner's type guitar. It's perfect. I'm sorry. It's like a beginner's type guitar. It's perfectly fine, but you can just tell the hardware is not all that great. It's loose right here. I keep trying to tighten that up, and actually see it just fell apart. It's just it's just not the best quality. But I do appreciate her buying it for me, and I've played a lot with it, but it's just not really cutting it. And the acoustic guitar I was talking about is this Yamaha. It's a Yamaha Fg 160, made in Taiwan. It's all the originals. I think this is probably from the early 70s, maybe the late 60s. But I was thinking about selling this. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. It just depends on if I feel like I can get anything for it. I've been seeing it listed for like $500, but I don't know. But as you can see in the background, I bought this Fender a couple weeks ago, and it's called the Fender Mustang Gtx 50, and this thing is awesome. I'm looking at the information right here. It's got 200 presets with guitar tones needed for almost every or any type of style. I remember when I had that Gibson Les Paul, I had some kind of a distortion pedal. I don't even remember what kind it was. And I borrowed a friend of mine's. It was a compressor sustainer pedal, and I used that a lot whenever I'd play Smashing Pumpkins because it held those notes forever, and it just sounded so good. But with this amp, this thing does so many things. It's insane. I haven't even messed with the normal dials. I just go directly to the presets. And I mean, with 200 of those things, you can pretty much do whatever you can make whatever kind of sound you want. But the problem I have right now is I need a guitar. And I consider myself kind of like a mediocre beginner. Like, I understand a lot of the beginner stuff. I know chords pretty good. I know how to do power chords, and I'm not too bad, but I don't know my scales. I don't know how to do any kind of solo. I'm just I need to learn my basics. So as you can see, my guitar's falling apart, and I needed a new guitar. So I've been in pursuit of finding a guitar that's affordable and for somebody that's a beginner but not really. So I don't want the beginner, Squire. I don't want, knockoffs. I want something pretty okay. And especially something that's got uh, very good integrity and built really good. And of course, I'd like to have a Gibson Les Paul, but $2,000 price tag for somebody that's starting out again is probably not the best idea. So I started looking around, and I came across this guitar called an ESP. Now, I'm new to a lot of these types of guitars. I've had an Ibanez, and I've had the Les Paul, but ESP I've never heard of. I've heard of Paul Reed Smith, PRS, and I've heard of Jackson and Epiphone and just all these others, but I've never heard of an ESP. And I started to look at them, and I want to put this one up on the screen or just kind of scroll through. There's these guitars made by ESP, they're LTDs, and they are absolutely beyond gorgeous. They look like the style of like a Les Paul, but you can see the tip of it where it's rounded off on a Les Paul. It's actually a bit more pointy, kind of like an SG, a Gibson SG. And some of these guitars are beyond beautiful. Now, I've never played one, never had one in my hands before, and I don't even know what to do with it if I had it. Now, I did some research, and I've noticed that anytime anybody had one of these in their hands, like on YouTube, and they played it, it was very, very hard metal like you hear in today's music, which I'm not a fan of. I don't hate it. It's just not. It's not what gets me going, and it's not what I want to play. So I've done a lot of research, and I've looked online, and I've gone to a few different stores. I went to a few music shops, guitar shops, and just asked some questions. And I think I've made a decision on what I want. I think this is the right choice for me. I don't want a Fender Even though I do like the melodic sounds, I'd like to play like David Gilmour or Eric Clapton. I mean, even Billy Corgan with Smashing Pumpkins. I think on that Gish album, he played a Fender Telecaster, but it's not really what I'm looking for. And I just think it's very plain type of guitar. And maybe eventually I'll get one. But for the first guitar that you get, it's such a hard choice. And I didn't want to get a Les Paul. I did want to get a Les Paul, but I didn't get a Les Paul because of the price tag. And I thought I wanted to get an SG, but I found out that they didn't really have the compression as a Gibson Les Paul, and that's one thing I like about Les Pauls. And all these other types of guitars. I had a guy talk to me yesterday about a Paul Reed Smith, and I'm like, well, who plays a Paul Reed Smith? And he said that John Mayer has switched over, which that's very melodic. Santana plays a Paul Reed Smith, and again, it's more of a melodic sound. So I'm like, that's not really the way I want to go. But this ESP just keeps jumping into my head. So I started looking them up and scrolling through them. And for the price tag, and by what I hear people talk about these ESPs, this is an amazing guitar. Like, the value is phenomenal. And I went over to Guitar Center today, and I thought I was going to buy one. And I talked to the sales guy over there, and it showed that they had the ESP online in their store. Online, it showed that it had it in their store, but they just didn't. And I got to talking to him about it, and he said an ESP, especially like the one I wanted, the ESP LTD EC1000 Duncan electric, he said these types of guitars are for the Gibson Les Paul player who have figured out that they don't have to pay the Les Paul price tag for that kind of sound. And these guitars are solid. They're absolutely solid. I hear nothing but great things about them. So I ordered a ESP LTD EC1000 Duncan electric guitar, black satin, and here it is. And as of Tuesday, this bad boy will be the new addition to the Carter family. So that's all I wanted to talk about today, because picking out a new guitar was so difficult, and just trying to find the right sound and the right look. And I'm of the mind that you can pretty much make any guitar sound like whatever you want to. I actually watched another video the other day where a guy had a Gibson SG, and he made it sound just like a Fender Telecaster. It's like, I think we put a little bit too much emphasis on the type of guitar and what kind of sound it makes. You're really going to get more out of how you play and the tones that you use, pedals, or just purely the amp. This bad boy has 200 presets. I can make it sound like whatever. But based on how gorgeous this ESP is, and the look, because I love that Les Paul look, and that's exactly what this looks like. Man, this guitar is just, I cannot wait. So maybe next week it'll be me playing my new guitar, which you have to understand. I remember 1% of everything I ever knew, which wasn't a whole lot when I did play guitar. So I do consider myself a brand new guitarist. So if anybody has any recommendations on where I can get some really good information, maybe on YouTube, for beginners or people who want to learn the neck or shapes or anything like that. I just don't really get that. I watch like Rick Beato and on his YouTube channel, and he's talking about shapes, and then knowing this shape and being able to go up and down the neck with that kind of I don't even understand that, but I want to. And I think with my musical ability, that once I start getting into that, I'm going to really learn it. So follow me on this journey. I'll be posting a lot of stuff on my Instagram, which is at Red Mug Music. And this is something I want really bad. I want to learn how to play guitar, and I want to be really good at it. So once Tuesday or Wednesday comes around and I get my new ESP, I'll post something on Instagram. Maybe I'll play it a little bit, and you can tell me how bad I am, and which is perfectly fine. I don't even care if I am bad. I just want to play. That's all I want to do. I just want to play guitar. I want to play music. I want to create music. So, but anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for just listening to me talk this week. I really do appreciate it. If you have that favorite guitar that you just absolutely love, it's that one go-to that you pretty much pick up for every occasion, comment down below and let me know what your favorite guitar is. And also comment down below if you have an ESP or heard of ESPs, and what you think about those. I'd love to get some really good stories, to kind of get me psyched up and ready to go and ready to receive my new guitar on Tuesday. But again, I'm on Instagram at Red Mug Music. And again, I wanted to mention my sponsor, which is Holly Carter at the Magic for Less Travel. I'll put her QR code on the screen if you're ready to go on vacation to Disney or to Universal or book a cruise. And they're actually opening up. I think they're starting to open up Disneyland out in California. So even if you're out on the West Coast, she can handle that too. Actually, she took a trip out there just to get a very good understanding, and it's actually her favorite park. So if you're ready to book out there, whenever they open that up, just let her know and she'll handle that for you. But Holly Carter, the Magic for Less Travel, the best of the best. You won't regret it. Well, anyway, that's going to be it for me this week. Thanks again for listening to me talk, and I'll see you guys next time.